So number 57, they say if the function's 1 to 1, then find f inverse. And this whole thing about if it's 1 to 1, that just means that the inverse exists. So like if you look at choice D, it says it's not a 1 to 1 function. That would mean that the inverse does not exist. Now, when you talk about an inversion or an inverse, I really want you to remember that you flip things. So like if you have a cone and you invert the cone, you're going to flip the cone around, right? So when we talk about, that's not a flipped cone around, so you're going to flip the cone around. So when we talk about an inverse, we are going to flip the x and the y variables, and then what we're trying to do is we are trying to solve for a function. So because we're trying to solve for an inverse function, we are going to have to solve for the y variable. So when we're looking at f of x is equal to, the first thing we're going to do is convert the f of x, of course, to what it is, our y, and then y is equal to 6x cubed minus 7. Now, in order to flip this cone around, to flip this function around, we've got to switch the x and the y. So what will happen is this y will become an x, and then this x will become a y cubed minus 7. Now, we're not trying to solve for x here because we're trying to solve for a function. So we're trying to solve for an inverse function. So what we need to do is we need to get y by itself. Now, if this was just 6y minus 7, we would add 7 to both sides and then divide by 6. So we'll start off by doing that. We'll add the 7 to both sides, get x plus 7 is equal to 6y cubed. Divide by 6, divide by 6, and get y cubed is equal to x plus 7 over 6. Now, if we have a quantity squared and we want to undo the square, we take the square root. So if we have a quantity cubed and we want to undo that cubed power, we're going to take the cube root. So here, because we have a y to the third, we need to get rid of the 3 exponent, and so we'll take the cube root of both sides. And when you take a cube root of both sides, any odd root, you do not have to add a plus or minus. So this is just going to become y is equal to the cube root of x plus 7 over 6. Now, because there isn't a plus or minus, this is a function. It's a well-defined function, and we will say that f inverse of x is equal to the cube root of x plus 7 over 6.